I think Paris failed to mention that Dr. Al-Tibi is the Deputy Speaker of the Israeli Knesset. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, if Peretz and Shetrit are today in government, I guarantee you in 3 months we will have a peace deal. The Palestinian-Israeli conflict is a protracted conflict between two epistemic communities driven by two seminal factors for the last 10 decades, mutual fear and mutual distrust, which in turn epitomizes today the psychological barriers between two traumatized societies. A major pitfall of all peace processes that had dismally failed in addressing the concerns and needs of the peoples. Rather, we have seen politicians jockeying for peacemaking and discarding the peace-building process. As a result, the alienation of our civil societies in the process of building bridges culminated in the entrenchment of hate, bigotry, and demonization of the other. The polarization of such mindsets had exacerbated convulsive violence and inculcated the culture of impunity. The lack of peace building through a culture of peace education paved the way to zero-sum conflict and hence the negation of the other. It is unfortunate that today politics is imposed by the extreme elements, while the moderates and the mainstreams are being marginalized and rendered irrelevant. Therefore, the entire peace process had been confined today within the parameters of crisis management rather than conflict management, where win-win should be the end game. Consequently, we are stuck between the historically inevitable and the politically impossible. We are moving from breakthrough to breakdown. The failure of linkages of our civil societies and people to people widened the gulf of inequity and hammered on xenophobic solutions. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, there will never be a military solution to this conflict. In spite of the military might and power politics of Israel, individual security for Israel will continue to be a major obsession to the degree of paranoia. Therefore, negotiations and dialogue is the natural outcome for such a conflict sponsored by an honest third-party broker. Moral sympathy and pacifying lexicon are not recipes for solutions. What we need is an action plan with a timeline imposed by third party with proper monitoring and verification mechanisms, or else processes come and go and conferences like this come and go and will lead to nothing except to deepening the wedges and polarizing the attitudes. It is unfortunate that the peace process had been a total charade because for the last 18 years, the negotiations emanated from a diktat position of power politics. Without equity and mutual reciprocity to national identities, the process will continue in creating stumbling blocks of accepting each other as equal partners to the conflict. Recent hopes for the revival of direct talks had been dashed, as a matter of fact, bashed by the intensification of settlement activities by the current government of Israel. Consequently, the dream for a Palestinian state is being systematically aborted, leaving difficult options for practical solutions. These tough choices will impregnate new political realities that will engulf drastic measures of reactions that could deteriorate even further the issue of security and stability. A Palestinian state is a must for Palestinians, and it is crucial for Israel's security and a geostrategic interest for the United States and the worldwide. It is public knowledge, ladies and gentlemen, that the crux of the Middle East conflict is the non-resolution of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Hence, regional conflicts are the natural outcome of such deep-seated conflict. Peace and security are global requests as well as regional requests, and definitely a much-needed request by both Palestinians and Israelis. Systematic policies of land confiscation and grab, settlement buildings, separation walls, military incursions, and checkpoints are not confidence-building measures for healthy negotiations and dialogue, let alone hot pursuits and indiscriminate killings along with total control of water aquifers and violations of basic human rights, will never create the ambience of mutual acceptance and respect. Furthermore, the exclusivity of a Jewish state is another added critical dimension to this conflict, which paves the way to denial of Arabs and other minorities and total discard to the right of return to the Palestinian refugees, which is considered to be a cornerstone in any future peace deal. On the loyalty oath, there is a key observation, is that Israel is becoming religiously fundamentalist, that it deliberately rejects non-Jewish races, and that by defining itself as a Jewish state, it turns itself into a hostile and isolated enclave in the Middle East. We, the Palestinians, are not the children of a lesser God. We are entitled to our self-determination, and hence to our state, which is only 22% of historic Palestine. We know what we want, and our borders are clear. The 4th of June 1967 borders. However, we ask our Israeli friends to draw their borders. Issues like security cannot be resolved with a perpetual hegemonic attitude and lack of sensitivity towards our needs. Ladies and gentlemen, justice precedes peace and security, and they are mutually inclusive. It is evident by now that Israel has the actual power, but we have also the staying power, and Israel's military and nuclear power will never match our demographic power. Consequently, total separation should be a strategic option for Israel, or else it will be eventually considered an isolated pariah state. Israel should recognize a simple fact, that it cannot continue its occupation while seeking peace, and cannot disregard the Arab Peace Initiative, the only safety valve for its existence and acceptance in the Middle East region. We, the Palestinians, are the only guarantors for a legitimate existence of the State of Israel. Without giving up the occupied territories, peace will never prevail. It is only a matter of time, if Israel does not face its reality, that elements of crumbling the state from within and from without will be inevitable. This is the last window of opportunity to make it happen, but having the cake and eat it too will never bring peace and security, and Israel will continue its existence as a transient state. I believe that the recipe for peace or for a peace deal is known to all parties. However, we lack the political will and commitment in order to make it happen, for the ramifications are explicit to everyone. Violence will only breed violence, and definitely this is not the panacea we're seeking to end this conflict. Thank you very much.